right, what's up everybody? I'm live, doing a live stream, tea and tobacco tonight. Should be interesting. If you would like to join in, I am live on Discord, which you can find down in the description. Also, I will be putting up my phone number in a few minutes, so you can call in that way as well. And I also have Skype, and I will drop that into the description in a few minutes as well. So if you want to come hang out, chat on Discord, you can do that. That tends to be the fastest way for me to see, but obviously you can chat here in the live chat room on YouTube as well. So I did put out a poll earlier today, figure out what I was going to smoke today. I had a few different options. I had a couple cigars on there, and then I also had like what do you want to call it? A couple pipe tobaccos on there as well, and Penzance happened to be the winner, so that is what I will be smoking today. I'm probably going to have to open up another tin because I am pretty much out. And where did I put that stuff? Oh, here it is. So I got my tin right here, so I'll be loading that up. Tonight I will also be drinking some tea. I'm going to be drinking Imperial Pure Bud Yunnan Black Tea of Samao, this is actually spring of 2016. So I'm going to be drinking that as well. If anybody's on the stream, just let me know. Throw a comment out there, so at least I know that I can that you guys are hearing me just okay, or better than okay, hopefully. All right. So yeah, like I said, you can, if you want to join in Discord, I'm in the chat in Discord. I'm also on the voice chat. So if you come into the live stream channel on the Discord, you will be heard, and that's probably the best way to do it, because then we can get a few people on here. Otherwise, I do have Skype, so if you do want to Skype me, just plop a message in, and I will send you my Skype, what do you want to call it, Skype username, and you can call in and do that. If you want to go really old school and go on the phone, you can call in onto my Google phone as well. So I'm just going to measure up my tea. I am using a 100 mil Gaiwan. It's about 100 mil. So I'll be using 5 grams of this tonight. I had to move all types of stuff around in my office. So basically my computer is right here. Usually it's over feet. So I slid the whole desk, scratchy as in it's hitting way too hard, or you're hearing me rustle the packaging. I'll stop playing with the packaging now. Hopefully that helps out. If it's still scratchy, I'll switch over to a different microphone. So yeah, if it's bad, I can switch to a different microphone. So just let me know, and I'll definitely switch over. Not a big deal. No, it's making some static. All right, hold on. Let me switch over to a different microphone, and hopefully we can get that taken care of. Let's see, switch device. And let me switch the microphone here. Oh man, gonna take a second. Let's add in my microphone. Oh, you know, the joys of doing stuff live for the first time, and hopefully this will clean it up a little bit. And let me kill this. All right, so how's that? Does this microphone sound better? I just switched microphone, so hopefully that sounds better. If it does, let me know. That would be great. I'll switch over in the Discord as well. So hopefully that makes up for the problems that I was having. So hopefully now we're all good. Hopefully. All right. I didn't even boil any water. It's all cold. Let's get that going. Anybody doing anything fun tonight? Hopefully, yeah. Good. Support from work. Also, clap mic. What? I'm not sure what. Do I need to? Maybe I just need to get closer here. Yeah, good. Oh, let's see. Rub a bit on here. I got my Yeti. Hopefully that sounds a little better. And yeah. I was using my wireless microphone. I wasn't listening to the mix, so it might have been kind of bad. If this needs to be turned up, I can turn that up too. So, good times. All right, let's get some tobacco in here. And I don't even know where I put it now. Penzance. All right. No kill the lav. Wow, you must be really behind. So I switched over to the Yeti, so hopefully that fixed everything. And let me grab a piece of paper here. Which mic was super boosted? The Yeti or the lav mic was super boosted? And any cracking you hear at the moment is actually my my water boiler is going. Ooh, I just barely had enough left of this Penzance before I have to open a new tin. Just barely got that filled up. Was it the lav mic was being screechy when I moved? I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. I guess I should have done a little bit of a recording before I decided to use the lav mic, but it killed that. Oh, wait a minute. Am I still running? Ooh, I'm still running it. There we go. How's that? There we go. I switched over. I didn't realize I had it doubled up. So let's try this. This is just the Yeti. So hopefully I'm not doubled up this time. I think I was accidentally doubled up on the lav or something. So hopefully, is this better? Well, okay, what are you doing here? Did me switching is the Yeti good now? I just I switched over. I didn't realize I was doubled up. And I'll pop you in a minute once you're kind of settled up. All right, cool. So somebody said that it sounds much better, so all right. Got that taken care of. Alright, let's get this pipe lit up here, because I haven't had Penzance in a while. I believe this, what I'm working on here, is a tin that I jarred up probably in 2014 or so. So it is pretty well aged. I actually have a decent stash of Penzance, so that's good. All the Penzance I've ever found was always in brick and mortar stores. I've never scored it online, but I have, I don't know, maybe, I think total I've scored 3 pounds total, so 6, well actually closer to 4 pounds, because I've scored 6 bags, and so those are at 3 pounds, and then I've scored at least 6 or 7 tins over the year, so close to 4 pounds, and I think I have like 5 bags right now and like 5 tins, so I'm good for a while. And even like super aged, the only thing that kind of goes wrong with Penzance is when it gets super aged, the La Tequila kind of dies out, but it's such a good blend anyways, and really it's just basically at that point it's just a Oriental without a whole lot of smoke on it anymore. And still super tasty, so not a big deal if I age it out. I have a bag from like 2011, so alright, so my water's boiling here. So this tea I've done a review for, so you can go check it out. It's on the YouTube page. It's a really good blend to pair with like cigars and whatnot. And it's not super expensive, and they've been making it for the past few years, so they seem to always have it. And like I said, this is from 2016, and it's still actually really good. It's kind of got like a, I know it sounds kind of weird, but you know those chocolate oranges that you smash and you break off all the little pieces, so it kind of has like an orangey chocolate type flavor? That's kind of what this tastes like. All right, so what's going on with everybody? Anything good? I saw James was in here. Hopefully he's still in here, hanging out. We need to hook up at some point for doing a live stream together. I saw he had one last night, but I was in bed by the time he went streaming. So he sent me a quick request to join the stream on Instagram, but I was already in bed, so. That's kind of what happens when you have a 3-hour time difference. So yeah, if you want, come hang out in our Discord. I'm pretty much always in there. I work from home, so and it's of course attached to my phone too. So I'm pretty much always there. And then I'm on voice chat quite often too. All right, pipe's going out. All right, so anybody got any questions? Tea, pipe tobacco, cigars. Need some topics to speak about here. Maybe I should have written some down. Noah says he's watching the Braves. When's opening? Oh, opening day was I was supposed to say, I don't know why I was going to say, when's opening day? That already happened. I have not been paying attention to baseball this year. I haven't been paying attention for quite a few years. I try to. Like, I got MLB Network one year just so I could, watch the games. Not the network, but the streaming service. Because I like listening to the games when I'm doing stuff, or especially when I'm going to sleep. But, Swamp Thang cigars. Yes, I have heard of them. I just haven't had one yet. And I forget where I saw them. I have so many cigars in my to-do list that I currently have on hand. I have over 180 blends currently on hand to review. But I would like to get a Swamp Thang. Is that from Holtz? I can't remember. From Zach, does smoking affect your taste buds? It can. It depends how careful you are about it, especially with like pipes, getting tongue bite and whatever. That can definitely throw off your taste buds. But I find for the most part, as long as you're careful, as long as you're not burning your tongue, I think you're okay. I think it's mostly the tongue bite. Sometimes you'll get really, really heavy tasting cigars or very strong cigars that could just kind of overpower or not for a long time, but it could just like overpower just the flavor, and it kind of stays in your mouth for a while. A few things to do to try to kind of like cleanse your taste buds. One is tonic soda or club soda. It has the quinine in it. It kind of strips your taste buds for a little bit. But one thing that I do is after I brush my teeth with toothpaste, I then brush again with a half and half mixture of powdered activated carbon and baking soda. And that kind of really gets rid of all the aftertaste from cigars and whatnot. I find, so if I do that before bed, I tend not to wake up with like morning breath or at least as bad. So that's definitely something to try. Quinine, which is in club soda, it's kind of a sour bitter flavor and goes away after about 15 minutes or so. But if you burn your tongue, then you're gonna have a problem, obviously. And then if that ever happens, then take a few days off and let your tongue heal up and all that fun stuff. From Noah, they're playing the Rockies. I'm trying to get back into baseball this year. I'm mainly a Dodgers fan. But then after I moved south, I watched the Braves more. Yeah, I'm a huge baseball fan in general. I just don't end up watching much. Like, I really don't care who's playing. I'll watch a freaking Little League game. I don't care. But I live in New Hampshire, so everybody is... Oh, yeah, it's tonic water, not club soda. Club soda is just... Yes, tonic water. Whatever. Club soda is just straight seltzer water with no flavoring, I guess. What was I saying? Oh, I live in New Hampshire, so everybody's crazy about the Red Sox, and it's really annoying, and I think I'm totally out of focus, so hold on here. Oop, I'm breaking stuff here. That's better. So everybody's a Red Sox fan around here. Don't worry, the freaking out is just my camera. Which is really annoying. Red Sox fans are really annoying. So it can get annoying. But, you know, like I said, I'll watch baseball. I'll watch any game. I'm just a big fan. My grandfather was the high school baseball coach for, I don't know, almost 40 years. Won a few state titles here. He did get a recruitment letter to try out for, I want to say it was the Astros. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. We have the letter somewhere, but he did get a recruitment letter, but unfortunately he was in the military at the time. I don't know why he didn't go. I had never read the letter until after he passed away, so I didn't get to ask him why he decided not to, because what I heard was the military was willing to give him an honorable discharge to go play professional baseball. But he never did, and I don't know why. Let's see. Is that lichens? Lichens, they remind me of a campfire talking about the swamp thang from Drew Estate. I'll have to look it up in a second. Does it have Dark Fire Kentucky in it or something like that? I don't even know how to... NF? Says coconut oil works good too for clearing out the flavors in your mouth and whatnot. And Noah, going back to the burning of the taste buds, he said he just got back into pipe smoking and got a good bit of tongue bite since he was rushing too much. Hopefully he'll get back to it. Yeah. So yes, lichens. I am in New Hampshire, so it is Red Sox country. So pretty much all of New England is Red Sox country. I'm about 2 hours from Boston. The country is more important than baseball. I'm not sure what you're speaking of. And Lycan said, yes, it does indeed have Kentucky in it. So, yeah. I have not had either of or any of the Drew Estates that have the Dark Fire Kentucky in it. I haven't had any of the cigars that have Dark Fire Kentucky in it. I don't know why. Well, one, I don't have anywhere to store them because I don't really want to store them in my humidor with all my other smokes and kind of get it all smoky. Really, I need to grab a couple like acrylic containers. I was just in Walmart yesterday. I should have picked them up. Just to get acrylic jars in Walmart that could easily hold like 40 cigars are like $12. And then I could just throw a Bovita pack in there and call it a day. So I could have for like the Javas and whatnot. I just have them up. Where are they? They're actually over on the floor over there, just in a Tupperware. And just to keep them separate. I do like the Javas because one, they're made by Drew Estate, and two, the tobacco was blended by Rocky Patel. So one, you have a really good cigar that's been blended by a very good blender. Plus you have, essentially the best people at doing flavored cigars, doing the flavoring. So that's pretty cool. Lichens, yes, I do have a P.O. box. If you go to the About section on my channel, there is a P.O. box that you can send to. It's actually a personal mailbox, so don't put P.O. box. It's a PMB. It's not since it's not a P.O. box, the place is called the Shipping Shack or whatever. They accept packages from like all carriers and whatnot, so it's not just USPS that gets accepted, so that's nice. Plus, they're open better hours than the post office. And they're cheaper. It's like $7 a month or something for the for the P.O. box that I get from them. So that's cool. Who is talking baseball? Noah, what's the standing like this year? Who do you think's got the good chances in which conference or in which divisions do you think people are going to go? I don't even have a clue this year, so I could not even contribute to this conversation that much. I'm just interested. I don't know if anybody's noticed. Whenever I'm smoking a pipe and I reach off screen after I light a match, I'm breaking off the tip. So that's just a little a tip to give out is even if you let the sulfur burn off, it still can sometimes taint the flavor. So I like to burn the match and then I break the head off. And that's basically where you go. Dodgers in the West, Braves in the East. What about the AL? If you have any thoughts on the AL. Likens, do you have a local baseball team? Here we have the Dayton Dragons. Are you in Ohio? I used to live in Columbus. Yes, we have the Keene Swamp Bats. I think they're a summer collegiate division. I'll have to check. But I'm pretty sure it's a summer collegiate division. I think one of the players actually just went into the pros this year. But I'll have to check. Keene Swamp Bats. So, but I have not been to a game. Yes, the Keene Swamp Bats are a collegiate summer baseball. They need to make thicker patches so they burn slower. Yeah, that would be nice. Although the regular diamond, thick, the kitchen matches are fine. But obviously they make longer ones. But I don't know how well thicker ones would be able to ignite. That might be the problem. Surface area to mass could be a problem. And that's probably why they don't go too much thicker. And then in the AL, it's Noah's thinking Rays in the East, Mariners in the West. I was saying so the Rays had a pretty bad team a few years ago. I don't remember how many years ago that. I could be totally off on my time frames here, but they did really poorly, but they also had a super young team. And I was thinking, looking at them, I'm like, yeah, they're going to lose horribly for the next 2 seasons, but then they're going to start doing really well because they had young players and they had good players, but they just weren't the big names or anything. And I was thinking, the Rays are going to be somebody to mess with soon once these guys get a little bit more experience in the big leagues, and it seems to be working out. Lighting. Okay. Likens says, here's a topic: lighting with a match versus a lighter. So I did a video on this right when I started my channel. So basically, there's a good article that Greg Pease wrote from GLP. But basically, in short, what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to just get the tobacco to smolder. You're not really burning it is kind of a little bit of a misnomer. And basically the temperature needed to ignite the tobacco is really close to the temperature that's on a match. I think a wooden match is somewhere around 600 to 800 degrees. I believe that's Fahrenheit. And then your soft flame, which I just have a torch on here. Your soft flame lighter is closer to 1200 to 1400. So one, you have a risk of burning the rim of your pipe, but also with that higher temperature, you get some really burnt flavors. And with that higher temperature, you end up scorching the sugars in the tobacco, and that kind of gives you the burnt flavors. So I did a video recently on using a lighter, how to light a pipe with a lighter, and what you want to do. Let me see if I can find one. Hold on. I don't know if I have a soft flame lighter in here. My wife might have stolen it. Yeah. Anyways, can't find it right now. Basically, what you want to do when you are lighting with a like a soft flame butane lighter, you want to hold the flame as high above the pipe as possible but still be able to light the tobacco on fire. Like I said, there's a video that I recently did. About this topic. So you just want to hold the flame, and the flame won't even have to go in, just the heat will be enough. And that's something you can do when you're lighting with a lighter to save your pipe and make the tobacco taste a little bit better. Neff says match 600, soft flame 800. Those must be Celsius then. So that's 1200, roughly 1200 degrees and like 1400 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Something like that. So yeah, it's a really good tip. No wonder I couldn't taste the flavor when I smoke. Yeah. So you want to, heat is really, strangely enough, heat is the enemy when it comes to good flavor. You want your tobacco to be, you want your ember to be as cool as possible, really, because it has to do a lot with the sugars. And that's why I like to smoke my pipe tobacco a little more on the wet side, because you need that steam to pick up the sugar out of the tobacco and bring it with the, with the smoke instead of burning the sugar. Because if you burn the sugar, then if you've ever had a burnt anything that was made of sugar, like a burnt cookie or something, you get that burnt cookie flavor or whatever. So what you really want, you want it warm enough to create the steam that then carries the sugar, and then that gets to you instead of it being really hot and you end up burning the sugar, and that's when you get the really bad flavors. It's the same with cigars. I store mine at 69, 70%. Some people like to store them lower. Now that I have the New Air 300H, I can safely run at 70 without an issue. It gets like 90 degrees in my office during the summer because I live in a converted barn, so it gets really hot upstairs. But yeah, so now I can run a little safer. Neff says with teas also brew as cool as possible. Yeah, I think it really depends on the tea and what you want to get out of the tea. Obviously with greens, definitely I don't like bitterness, so I'm really not a fan of a lot of greens at high temperature. And in general, I don't like bitter stuff, so I tend to avoid greens for the most part. But yeah, there's been greens that I've brewed all the way down at like 130 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I'm sorry. Neff's from Canada, so he knows all the AC costs must be massive. Yes, they are. And the thing that kind of sucks is I have to run AC in my bedroom. And just how my house is laid out, my bedroom is open to the rest of the house. So like the bedroom's kind of like a loft. So I can't just cool the one room, and it really sucks because I have a saltwater fish tank and I don't want them to overheat. So yeah, I do need to do that. Noah, why are you drinking bagged tea? He says, in terms of bagged tea, I've noticed Canadian tea has way more flavor than the stuff at the grocery store. Stop drinking bagged tea, my friend. You got to go to the loose leaf stuff. Neff says aged tea can have tobacco or leather flavors. I have noticed that in some aged teas. Kind of like a really aged Shou Mai, I've noticed if you brew the crap out of it. But yeah. Thoughts on sweet tea? Like Southern iced tea? Hate it. I can't stand it. One, they make it way too sweet. I'm not against having sweetened iced tea, but usually it's just way too sweet. Somebody makes half sweetness, and that's okay. But like in the summer, sometimes I'll throw, a little bit of sugar into an iced tea. Depends what I'm drinking. For the most part, for iced tea now, I've been a lot more picky on the tea that I use, and I try to choose teas that don't require it. If it has lemon in it. Are you saying you're cool with it if it has lemon? No, I mean, I'll drink it. I just won't go out of my way to drink it. So if it's what's available, sure, not a big deal. I mean, I like a sweet drink once in a while. I mean, I'm not a total Neanderthal. But for the most part, I tend to the iced tea. I tend to drink cheap Da Hong Pao that I get from Dragon Tea House. You can get like 250 grams for like $17 or something, 17 US. So that's actually what I use for iced tea quite a lot. You can get like a pound of it for $30 or so. So Da Hong Pao from Dragon Tea House, that's what I tend to make iced tea out of. It also goes really well with cigars, so that's another reason I make it. It's kind of like between being, it has a natural sweetness to it, it also has a slight natural bitterness to it. So depending on the cigar, if the cigar is sweet, it'll make the cigar sweeter, and if the cigar is more earthy, it will make the tea sweeter. So you kind of have that nice balance. So if they're both down the middle, then you just have a nice afternoon out on the porch with a iced tea. Ooh, I need this in my life. What do you need in your life? Usually do half and half since... Oh, half and half. Yeah. Half and half tea and lemonade. Is that what you're using? I'm a big fan of half and half. The good old Arnold Palmer. I like a good half and half once in a while. More DHP, that's what you need in life? Yes. Da Hong Pao is good stuff. And even the cheap stuff from Dragon Tea House is really good. I mean, 250 grams for like $17, so, 500 grams for 30 or so. I go through that stuff like crazy. Or at least I did. Now that I'm getting I'm currently getting the whatever the higher end curated tea club from Yunnan Sourcing. So now I'm getting inundated with a lot of tea, and they're sending me more tea than I can possibly drink in a month. So actually, so the last month, if you guys saw, I reviewed 4 teas from Yunnan Sourcing in a row. It's because they were greens, and I wanted to get them out as quick as possible so people could buy them if they are interested, because they're 2019s. They're just barely picked. But I actually gave them all to my brother-in-law because he was looking for some green teas, and I normally wouldn't. I wouldn't drink them normally anyway, so I knew they were just going to sit on my shelf forever. So I figured he could have them. So that's what I did. You do look like a half and half person. Do you like golf? Yes, I do like golf, but I haven't played in like 10 years. That was something I did with my grandfather when he was alive. I'd play golf with him. When I was like a little kid, I would, caddy for him. But really, it was, I just walked the golf course, and then when we were far enough away from the clubhouse, he'd let me hit some balls as well. So my grandfather taught me how to play golf, but I haven't played in a long time. Because I lived in Columbus for quite a while. I lived in Columbus for, I don't know, almost 10 years, 8 years. So I was playing golf quite a lot before I moved out there. And then when I moved there, my wife doesn't play golf. I didn't really know anybody who did play golf. And then I just really had no time once we moved out there. I was kind of bummed about that because they do have some pretty good and cheap golf courses there. So I could have played more. And then, like I said, I haven't played in a long, long time. My clubs are in my attic storage space or whatever. Just kind of gathering dust at the moment. I mean, all the golf courses around me are super expensive. We don't have any like municipal courses. They're all private courses around here. That was one thing I wish I did take advantage of when I lived in Columbus, because the greens fees in Columbus are super cheap. Like you could play 18 holes for like $12 or something, and like a membership to play at like 8 different courses was not that expensive. Maybe $400, $500 a year or something like that. So I could have played a lot more if I had taken the time out, but I got into all types of other activities. I took up rock climbing while I was out there, so that kind of ended up moving into my life, and golf kind of fell off. I didn't really have any need to play golf anymore. I mean, my dad plays, and he's way better than me. He plays in like a night league. He plays in like a league that they play, once a week or whatever. But he's like 45 minutes away from me. So if either of us want to play golf somewhere, one of us is going to drive like 45 minutes to get there. Noah, have you had Cohiba cigars? I've heard there are some knockoffs of them. Knockoffs? So there's 2 categories here. So there's the Cohiba cigars that are made not in Cuba, which are legit, but they're technically a separate company. I'm totally spacing on the company that has the rights to them. It's either Altadis or General Cigar. I think it's Altadis. I think that's how you say it. Altadis has the U.S. rights to the name, because when the whole Cuban embargo thing happened, basically the United States stopped recognizing any Cuban trademarks or copyright. So, and a lot of the families who were growing the tobacco and whatnot left and fled to places like the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua and whatnot. So they kept making cigars under the previous name that they were using in Cuba, but they're only really able to sell them in the U.S. Because the U.S. did not recognize Cuba's copyright or trademarks. So there are the ones that are made outside of Cuba, and those are the ones you can get in the United States. And I wouldn't really call those knockoffs. I would just call them non-Cuban, the non-Cuban company. And then obviously there are a lot of fake Cubans out there. anything that's selling for a lot of money and you can make a fake of for a lot cheaper, you're going to get counterfeits of. Like I don't know how much like a Cuban Cohiba goes for in other countries. I know in Canada it's ridiculously expensive. Like we're talking like $45 to $60, probably even, and like all the way up to like $100 or even more. So I don't know what the cheapest is for other countries. Maybe there's some South American countries you can get the legit Cohibas and whatnot for a semi-reasonable price, but I have never seen I've never really seen what the prices are. I know in Europe they're still ridiculously expensive too, so that's probably why there are so many fakes on the market of the Cubans. Nobody's faking the U.S. bound ones, so that's not really a huge deal. And you go through, like I said, the name is owned by Altadis, I believe, or like I said, General Cigar, one of the two. So there's legit supply chains for those. So those aren't a big deal, and you're not going to get any fakes of those. Sounds like almost a U.S. division, sort of. Yes, it was basically it came down to dispute over copyright, and the U.S. wasn't going to enforce Cuban's claim to copyright or trademark. So that's basically why they took over the name. I believe Altadis now owns a good hunk of the Cuban brand as well. So they're ready to go as soon as America lifts the embargo. They are in the position to start bringing the Cubans into the United States, if that ever happens. But anyways, back to the... So off that topic, yes, I have had the Cohibas that are available in the U.S., the U.S. division ones. Really, the one I've had the Nicaragua, and I've reviewed that, so you can find that video. But anyways, the Cohiba Nicaragua is really good. So if you can find it, I would give it a go but it is a nicotine powerhouse. And then with the Cohiba name, there are a bunch of other companies, same thing. You got Partega, Romeo y Julieta, H. Upman, Fonseca, all those names, Monte Cristo, all those names are under that same kind of thing of umbrella as the Cohiba. Being just a bit, there's certain ones just available for the U.S. market, and then there's the Cuban ones that are available everywhere else. But again, Altadis owns now a good hunk of the Cuban factories and whatnot, with all those names included. So they owned now the U.S. rights and the Cuban distribution. So that's I thought Obama got rid of the embargo. No, he only lifted the travel ban. So you can travel to Cuba. You can vacation in Cuba if you want, and you can bring back. And there's less of a problem bringing back Cuban cigars and whatnot from other countries. So as long as you're bringing back for yourself, there's a very small quota of cigars that are allowed to be brought in for commercial purposes. Holtz brought in, I think it was like 22,000 of them or something, that could be brought in per year, but obviously those kind of stay off the open market for the most part. But I'm not 100% sure on those numbers. I just know that there's a very small quota that can be brought in commercially, but they rarely hit the open market because they get snagged so quickly. Neff says he needs to get a Siglo Cohiba next time. I'm sure that's going to cost you an arm and a leg, or like the Benki or something like that. It's like $120 each or something. See, did I cover everything? Yeah, the ones all around. So back to the golf courses. Yeah, all the ones around here are subdivisions and country clubs. Yeah, that's how it is here. But I also lived out in the sticks, and there's not a whole lot to choose from. Um, there's some fun courses. Brentwood is here in Keene, and they actually have two courses. They have two 18-hole courses, and both the courses are really nice. It's a family that owned a massive hunk of farmland, and they stopped farming it and converted it eventually into two 18-hole golf courses. So it's pretty nice to play. It's forgiving because most of the holes run next to each other and they're just kind of split up by some trees. So if you shank it, you might end up in the fairway of the neighboring hole. And then there's a place called Shattuck, which is in a town called Jaffrey, and that place is a freaking nightmare to play. I've played there once and I shot like 160 because all the holes are super narrow. There's dense woods on both sides. It basically lives in a swamp, so you have to carry swamps everywhere. I mean, there's like one hole that, minimum you have to carry like 180 yards or something before you get onto dry land. And then you need to try to stick it before it goes into the woods. So yeah, there's some really nasty courses around here. But there's some fun little ones too. There's a little par 3 course. It's just 9 holes, and every hole is par 3. Over in Jaffrey called Woodbound Inn, and that's just a fun place to play just for giggles. Really, all you have to carry like 3 clubs. You gotta carry like a 9-iron, a pitching wedge, and a putter, because the longest hole is like 110 yards or something. Plus, I heard most Cubans don't like American travelers. I don't know about that. There's a few rock climbers that I follow that go to Cuba quite often, so they must feel relatively at home to go there multiple times a year. So we'll see. Although she is super pretty, so that probably helps. That the pretty blonde girl probably makes out a little better than I would if I was traveling to Cuba. I'm not a huge traveler. I hate flying. Just kind of how it is. So this has been fun. Wasn't sure how well it was going to go. At least somebody showed up. Got a few people that showed up. I think we just have, I don't know how many we have in here right now. 3, 4? I'm not sure how these things show up. They just show weird in the dashboard. I guess I could go out and see what it looks like. And for whatever reason, the number is not being fed back into my OSB Streamlabs. Or sorry, OBS. OSB is a type of plywood. Neff, how much was the Siglo Cubans at the place you went? Neff's in Canada, so he pays an arm and a leg for his cigars. I feel kind of bad because I ended up getting him into smoking. He was a tea guy, and then I kind of got him into smoking. Do I remember the old Snapple commercial where they pluck a baby leaf in China? Yes, I do remember those commercials. Not vividly, but a little bit, yes. Neff says, if I recall, they were $45 to $60 or so. So with the exchange rate, that's going to be... 45 is probably, that's what, like $37 US or something like that. My math's probably a little off. Let's see, where's my matches here? Yeah, I want to do I'd like to do a lot more, streaming like this. Hopefully, if I get a little bit more of a normal rotation, more people will show up. I don't know when the best time to do it. I guess Saturday night at 8 o'clock, people are out and doing stuff. Also, I am set up so I can, take, Skype calls and people who want to come out on Discord can do that, and we can all voice chat. And like I said, if you aren't in our Discord, the link is down in the description. I'm in there all the time on text, but I'm also in there on voice quite a lot too. So we can just all hang out and talk and chat. Neff says I got into it because of finding my grandfather's pipe. Yeah, I know that, but I feel like I pushed you more to continue down the road. Noah says, I traded a pair of skateboard trucks I hated to my friend, and he gave me his Dr. Grabo pipe, and here I am. Is it at least a good Grabo? Like, all the Grabos I've seen are kind of meh. I like big honking pipes. Hold on, let me grab a couple here. So, like, the pipe that I'm smoking today is one of my smallest pipes. I mean, comparatively, this is my smallest pipe. I mean, I got this bad boy, which is, big honkin' volcano, big nice piece of wood. This is my Tim West. I mean, this thing's giant comparatively. So I like big honkin' pipes, and I don't think the Grabos tend to be big enough for me. It's not that the chamber has to be huge. I mean, if it's a big honkin' mass of wood with just a small chamber, that'd be great. That's fine with me. I just like big. I'm just a big fan of big pipes. Like, here is an Ehrlich. Compared to the size of my hand, I mean, it goes up all 4 fingers comparatively to the height. So, I mean, this thing's just giant. But the hole is, the chamber is kind of a normal size. I just like the really huge pipes. See, so I got some cigars yesterday, and while in the humidor, they gave me a piece of cedar wood to light my cigars. Why? I'm new to cigars. So, a lot of people do light cigars with cedar sticks or matches. Kind of goes back to the discussion that we were having earlier about lighting a pipe with a lighter. So, personally, I hate lighting with a soft flame lighter for cigars. Because it's a very incomplete burn, and I made a video about that. Some people argue about that. It's just, leftover hydrocarbons, which is what you're smoking anyways. And shouldn't have any flavor, but I think they have a flavor. Especially if you, if you have like a Zippo, I wouldn't touch that. So using a cedar stick is a lot more forgiving. Just like matches, you're probably not going to generate the heat enough to make those burnt flavors. So basically my hierarchy of lighting cigars is going to be, I'm going to use a torch lighter if I got one. And when lighting with a torch lighter, you want to make sure that the flame, so here's your cigar. My finger is the cigar. I tend to put the cigar slightly at an upward angle, and the flame is going to be way back here. And I want it to be far enough away that I get just a little bit of red on the end, and I'll light my cigar that way. So I'll slowly light the end of the cigar. And I don't even, that's basically how I light my cigar. I don't draw and light it with the flame. I let the torch just warm up the end until it's finally completely lit. I don't put the cigar in my mouth and then, draw the flame in because you get those burnt flavors. So I try to stay away from that. And then after a torch lighter, I'll use matches or a cedar stick. After that, if I really have to, I'll use a soft flame butane lighter. And then after that, there's probably not a whole much else I'll light a cigar with. So that's where it is. The cedar will add a little bit of flavor, but yeah, it's really preference at that point. Yeah, you're gonna get some cedar flavor from it, and since cedar is a pleasant flavor, a lot of people like to use that versus the the little pine flavor that you'll get off of like a match or something like that. Yeah, so it's really preference at that point. If you don't have a torch lighter, then cedar sticks are the way to go. If just light the end of it with a butane lighter and then use the cedar stick to light your cigar, or like I said, use matches. Same thing with lighting. I tend to once I light, I'll light the match. I'll let the sulfur burn off, and I'll get it down. I'll hold it if you hold it like this, it weakens right under the ignition, and then I'll break off the I don't even know the head of the match, just so I don't get any of that sulfur flavor. You don't have to do that. Most people say if you just let it burn off, you're fine. It's a curved stem with etching done on the outside of the bowl, going back to the gray bow that Noah had. I've seen quite a few of those that just kind of have that weird etching. Though honestly, I'm probably more for straighter pipes so I can get them clinched in my mouth. Actually, I find bent pipes are way easier to clinch because the weight stays closer to your chin instead of being out and causing the leverage. Where's my favorite clincher here? Oh man, where is it? So this is the first pipe I ever bought. First pipe I ever bought. This is a Brebbia. I don't even remember what series 1960 Golden Extra. This is shape 6000. As you can see, it's a really huge bent, and I find the bent, since the weight is distributed directly under your teeth, it doesn't create as much of it doesn't have the leverage of like this. I mean, the weight is way out away, so it's kind of like cranking on your teeth. So I like a good bent for clinching. Like if I'm driving or something, this is what I want to be smoking, not this hunk of, oh my god, this thing weighs a ton. So this is not a driving pipe. But yeah, like a really nice, really full bent Dublin or something. It's great for driving. But even something I like this, it's light enough because this is small enough. I don't have a problem driving with this. But I have some pretty big pipes. Most of my big pipes are bent pipes, so they're okay. But yeah, this I have driven with this before, and it hurts your teeth after a while. Neff says, let me know when you get those Rocky Patel vintage 70s. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to buy some, but if for those who haven't seen, Rocky Patel released a vintage 1970. So the wrapper was harvested in 1970, which is insane. So I'm guessing it's just going to be a limited release, unlike the 1990s and 1992s, which are just aged, 12 and 10 years. I don't think he's going to find a consistent supply of 40-year-old wrapper. So I'm guessing those are just a limited release, though I am very interested to try them. But I don't know the next time I'll be putting a cigar order in. just as like a short aside, I had some of my... So when I came back to making videos in December, my channel was making enough money to sustain itself, so it didn't cost me any more money, anything extra to do this channel. You know, purchasing tons of cigars and pipe tobacco, you know, stuff that I normally wouldn't buy anyways. A lot of the pipe tobacco I just buy because I'm going to review it here, not that I would normally smoke it. Same with some cigars. You know, so I just buy a ton. But unfortunately, as of a couple days ago, some of my most popular videos got demonetized. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive for me to run this channel, which is kind of a bitch. So I'll have to figure something out soon about that. That's just full disclosure what's going on right now. I haven't really talked about that on the channel yet. So yes, the Rocky Patel 1970s. I'll try to get some, but I can't guarantee that I'll get around to it before they're all sold out. What am I doing here? It's matches. Didn't know this. No, we got to set up a Patreon. Yes, I was hoping to do that soon. I wasn't planning on doing it. Like, I was planning on doing it once I hit over 10,000 subscribers, because at least I figured, hey, I'll survive till then. Not a big deal. But so the biggest driver to my channel was how to smoke a pipe, and since it's got demonetized, that also means YouTube doesn't suggest it as a suggested video anymore. So traffic on that has dropped like 80%, which really sucks because that was the biggest driver of new subscribers. So I'm a little bummed about that. So I need to figure out something to go around that. But yes, I do plan on setting up a Patreon. I'll probably do Patreon and Subscribestar, because I know some people, you know, don't like Patreon for various political reasons and whatnot. But I know because Patreon is still the most popular, it would make sense to still use them. They say why I was getting no, I don't know why they demonetized it, but it is my how to smoke a pipe cigar, how to smoke a pipe video, and it had 300,000 views. It's been up for 3 years, and then suddenly now it's a problem. But if you go and search how to smoke a pipe, there's other videos that have more views and are still monetized. So, of course, they don't tell you why. I asked for manual review and they rejected it. They reviewed it and still found it to be demonetized. So they obviously, YouTube doesn't apply the rules consistently, and they aren't clear about what the rules are. So that's just kind of how it goes. So like I said, I was hoping to make it to 10,000 before this happened, but it looks like that is not going to happen. So I will work on trying to figure something out. I was thinking obviously early access is going to be one thing for subscribers, but I don't know what other things to give out, because I like giving all this stuff away for free. I like to be able to engage with the audience and whatnot. Obviously, I have the Discord, which I'm in there, and that's free for anybody. Like I said, I'm in there all the time. I'm in there on chat pretty much all the time, and I'm on voice, quite a lot. And if anybody wants to jump on voice, I'm always around to jump on voice, because I work from home, so I can pretty much chit chat whenever I want. But yes, no, they didn't tell me why I got demonetized, and I can't really find anything that I did wrong. I'm guessing it's just tobacco products in general. They're going to start demonetizing stuff. They just need to find a new scapegoat. So that's how it is, I guess. Lycan said, what if you did a follow-up video to it? Follow-up video to how to smoke a pipe. I was thinking of redoing that video. The thing that kind of sucks about it is that it's been so popular, and it comes up on like number 3 or 4 in search results. So I didn't really want to redo it. I really wish you could publish an updated video to the same address, so you wouldn't have to make a whole new link system and everything to new videos. I was going to film also my how to smoke a cigar video, but that was demonetized years ago. I was going to redo both of them because I did both of them really early on in my channel. The lighting sucked. I was wearing my hat backwards like a thug. Yeah, I stopped wearing my hat backwards a while ago. But yeah. But yes, that is exactly how pretty much most of a lot of subscribers found me was through the how to smoke a pipe video, just because it was so popular. And like anytime anybody had a popular pipe smoking video, it would come up in the suggesteds, and now since it's demonetized, they won't even do that. Perhaps corporate sponsorship, possibly. It would be cool if I could get sponsorship from a tea or a tobacco company. I would definitely take it from... So it'd be a few places that I would definitely take it from because I believe in their company. But a lot I wouldn't, because I don't really want to feel like a shill for a lot of stuff. Like if Unan Sourcing wants to give me sponsorship, I would totally take it. Because I think Scott's a really good guy. I think their company is really good. They have quality products, and I have no problem hawking anything for them. But like, there's a lot of cigar and tobacco companies. It's like, well, I don't really want, because I may crap all over something that you make, especially if it's a cigar brand. I guess a distributor, maybe, like a small distributor. Not somebody like, well, obviously Cigars International doesn't need my help or anything like that, but maybe a smaller family-owned place that, maybe. But like, I think the problem with some of the smaller places, their pricing really sucks. So it's like, well, do I want to send people here? They end up paying a lot more for the same thing, and yeah. But as far as tea goes, yeah, like Unan Sourcing, I'd totally take a sponsorship from them, but I don't think he needs my help either. He's got a relatively popular channel himself, just for his stuff. But I do buy a lot from them. Obviously, I'm part of the tea club, so that's why I end up reviewing a lot of Unan Sourcing's tea. One, because I buy it, and two, nobody else sends me stuff to review. I did get... Okay, so this little thing... Hold on, let me light my pipe. I got something sent to me, which is kind of funny. I have not looked at it, but I don't have a lot of high hopes for it. All right, so this little thing got sent to me. It's called a cigarette mate. And let me just read the back of this. It gets a little weird. So, yeah. They're out of China. The company is called Awake. It's awake-tech.com. Anyway, it says Cigar Mate is a innovative design container containing liquefied quantum hydrogen surrounded by food-grade stainless steel, which is stainless steel. I checked it. It does stick to a magnet. Put Cigar Mate in a tobacco container, and it can efficiently remove harsh odor. Provide user with a smooth and tasty smoking experience. We use an innovative and unique technique to dissolve hydrogen quantum into water, cutting-edge technology of transferring quantum hydrogenation to make tobacco product burn more completely. So this is a strange product that got sent to me. That I'll test it, but just reading it, yeah, it was a little strange. So I'm not afraid to poo-poo on anything. I just don't want to get into a type of sponsorship situation where I feel like I can't do that because then my sponsorship will get yanked. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So I'd much rather be crowdfunded than sponsorship for the most part. Unless the product is amazing. Yeah. What about mini cigars? I know they have them in the UK, but not here. They do have them here. They just are not very popular. I think probably the reason mini cigars are in the UK and in Europe is because of the pricing. Obviously here you can get, a high quality Churchill cigar for, $3, $3 to $5 in the US. But in all the other countries that have ridiculous tobacco taxes, those mini cigars, just one of those tiny cigars is like $5. So I think it's more of a price issue, and that's why the minis are more popular elsewhere than they are here. But I mean, CAO makes them, Ashton has them, Macanudo has them. But for the most part, I think that's the biggest thing is pricing. We can get quality full-size cigars at the same price that they can just get tiny little mini ones, which is probably why you don't see a whole lot of them on the US market. That's the best. That's probably the reason. At least that's my take on it. I mean, I do buy packs of them once in a while. Like I'll buy like the little 10-pack of the Ashton ones are really good. The Maduro ones are really good. The Macanudo Ashcots are good. The only thing with them, you have to age them. New, they are harsh as hell. So if you happen to want them, the Macanudo Ashcots, get a tin of them, set them in your humidor for at least a year, but I'd go really a minimum of 3 years before you start smoking them, because they are a little bit rough around the edges and could definitely use some time to off gas. That's another thing with a lot of the mini cigars. They aren't as high quality because one, they're mini cigars and it takes just as long to roll them as the big cigars. For the most part, it's really the time is really what costs the most for cigars, not so much the materials. So it takes the same amount of time to make a mini cigar versus a full-size cigar. And with the mini cigars, since they want to churn them out as quick as possible to minimize the amount of time, they don't use the highest quality tobacco or stuff that's been cured long enough. So I think it still has a little bit too much ammonia left over in the cigar. I think that's why the Ashcots are a bit harsher than I would like them when they're new. So I don't know how long they rest them after they're rolled. I'm guessing they just toss them on the boat and send them over once they're rolled. And so, I mean, the tobacco probably is not old enough to give you that a slightly smoother flavor. So like I was saying, this is This Penzance is probably 4 years old. Still really great. Penzance is super, super smooth. Obviously, it's hard to get because it is an esoterica and it's sold out the second it hits the shelves. And it's only distributed by one company. It kind of sucks because I asked some of the local cigar shops if they happen to use the distributor that Esoterica does, because obviously if they do, then I just have them put in an Esoterica order and I would buy whatever they can get. Even if they don't normally sell pipe tobacco. If they deal with the distributor, that'd be great. But unfortunately, all the places I called don't use that distributor at all. So kind of struck out on finding my own little hookup. There's no pipe shops near me. Like, I would have to drive like an hour and a half or more just to find a shop that has a half decent selection of pipe tobacco. Noah says that makes sense. Wait, sorry, what was that about? I got some of the Swamp Things in a metal case, unless those are something different. And then Noah said, that makes sense. Funny enough, the way I found out about them is that an anime called Helsing Ultimate had Integra Van Helsing smoking them constantly. That's pretty funny. James, what did you miss? You missed a lot. We talked about baseball. We talked about using lighter versus matches for pipes. We talked about the whole trademark issue with Cohiba and the Cuban and U.S. markets. What else did we talk about? I don't know. You'll have to scroll back through the chat a little bit to see what else we talked about. Golf. We talked about golf a little bit. I have been... So, Lycan says, if you come back to Ohio, check out Jungle Jim's tobacco selection or section. I've been to... I went to Jungle Jim's when I lived in Columbus. We drove down to Cincinnati to check it out. I did not know they had a tobacco section until somebody said that in a forum or something. So yeah, I had no clue that there was actually they had a tobacco section at Jungle Jim's. I doubt I'll make it down to Cincinnati. That's kind of the, Columbus is, I go there for work, and it's a 2-hour drive to Cincinnati, and I won't have that type of time when I go for work. If I get out at 4:00, I wouldn't be able to make it down to Cincinnati until 6:30 after rush hour and all that jazz. So it could be a little difficult. It is a cool store, though. If anybody's near Cincinnati, Jungle Jim's is a very, very cool spot. They have all types of like exotic fruits and meats, and it's just a huge place of all types of strange foods and stuff. I bought like every type of jerky they had, so I got like kangaroo jerky and alligator jerky and buffalo jerky and everything, all that fun stuff. Says, then in the back looks like a convenience store with a humidor. So I guess Jungle Jim's has a tobacco section. What do they have for tobacco? Do they have like, Cornell and Deal stuff? Or are we talking like kind of the OTC stuff like Captain Black and all the Sutliff type stuff? I'm guessing they have cigars if they have a humidor. Go Tiger Woods. What's up with that, James? Or are you just saying golf in general? We were talking about golf. Did you review plum pudding? No, I haven't. I do have a tin of it, though, so I can, at some point, review it. But I do have a tin of it. I haven't opened it yet, though. And I haven't had it. So I have a ton of blends. like I said earlier, I have like 180 cigar blends to review. I have about that in pipe tobacco blends as well. So I'd like to get through and review a lot of the stuff that I have open before I start opening new tins of stuff. It would seem like I smoke a lot more than I do because I do this channel. But I don't. James says Tiger Woods won. I don't know what's going on today. I'm guessing it's an opening round or a second round of something today. And James said he loved plum pudding. I think I will too, just because of just reading what's in it. It's definitely up my alley. Pretty much everything I smoke is non-aromatics that I smoke day to day. And obviously on this channel, I smoke more aromatics just because I review them for everybody, which is fine. But yeah, I just have so many blends to get around to, and then when it's like, oh, what do I open next? It's like, well, I have 120 things to choose from, so or 140 of them really that aren't open. Uh-oh. I see my battery might be dying on my camera. Give me a second. I'm going to swap out the battery. You can probably still hear me though, so. So don't worry, you should still be able to hear me. I'm not running the audio through my camera or anything, so. Oops, and then I'm dropping stuff. All right, I totally forgot to swap new batteries into my camera before I started because I was running so late. I was running late and I just like threw this all together. I pushed my desk is like 6 feet from where it normally is. I pushed it across, so I would still have my background here. I think I need to put some casters on this desk. I was thinking about that when I was putting it together to put casters on it. I just put some moving pads underneath it so I can at least push it around. So that is how it is. James says people think I smoke every day, but in reality, I just show every cigar I smoke. Yeah, I'm almost the same way. Yeah, I am the same way. The sensor is all clean. Yes, I'm using a Canon T5i for my camera. So all the menu shows up and everything when it turns off. It looks a lot better than my POS, webcam or whatever, because it's actually, an actual camera. Fun thing with the Canon DSLRs, or at least so far, is that they have an auto shut off at 30 minutes. But the great thing is that there is Magic Lantern, which is sort of a software hack. It's basically third-party software you can load onto the camera. And just in the last release on a couple of the night builds, just in the past 2 months, they added a feature to override that 30-minute auto shut off. So now at least the auto shut off was weird. All it would do it would just flip the mirror back closed and then reopen. So it didn't actually turn off the camera. It just like reset the shutter and the mirror and then came right back on. So that was kind of funny. But now there's in Magic Lantern, there's an override for it now. so now it doesn't shut off. I'm guessing with the mirrorless cameras, that is not a problem. I think James has the M6. He could tell me he might not even use that for a webcam. I was shooting with a T3i up until last week. My sister is lending me her T5i because she shoots on a Mark on a 5D 5D now. So she never uses this camera, so she let me use it for videos. The sensor is way better than the T3. Let's see, what are we looking at here? Oh, we have 6 people. Yay. I think. Is that max or everybody who's actually connected right now? So, James, what are you up to? Did you have a good... I was going to say, James, did you have a good stream last night? And then another question came up. I think if it isn't sold as a video camera, it has to shut off after 30 minutes. Sort of. That's some stupid rule in Europe, which is dumb. It has something to do with taxes, I think, or like import taxes. I'm not totally sure, but it's only because of Europe. So I don't know why Canon and Sony and Nikon don't just release a non-European version that doesn't have that bull crap in there. I mean, Panasonic started doing that, I think. I think the newest, I don't know what their camera's called, the Luxor or the Luminex. I think their newest one does not have that limitation on it. So I think they must have released a non-European version. Did you get a sponsorship where you create your own tobacco blend? Would you choose? Okay, so say you did get a sponsorship where you could create your own tea or tobacco blend. What would you choose and why? If somebody would allow me to blend my own cigars, I would, because I already have a few blends that I personally roll myself that are really good and have only gotten positive feedback. Now, obviously, I don't know if it's just because I rolled them and they're placating me, but I think the blends that I have created for myself are really, really good. And other than my rolling skills and the presentation of it, I put flavor-wise up against anything. I have a blend that I call the Innkeeper that I have, I've rolled 200 of them for myself, and I've been aging them for the past couple of years. I just smoked one 2 days ago that I rolled in. The date on it was 2016, and it is amazing. And it's not just because I rolled it. I think it's an exceptional blend. And I would be all about releasing my own line of cigars if somebody could do that. I did look into what it would cost to be able to sell commercially my own cigars, but it is ridiculous, especially if like you're rolling your own. So you need a manufacturing license, and then you have all this bull crap about inventory monitoring and tracking and all that stuff. So if you do out all the costs associated with it, and then obviously you have to deal with some serious accounting. So you have the tobacco tracking and all that stuff. Like, I worked out, I would have to sell something like, 10,000 cigars. Well, not 10,000. I have to sell like 5,000 cigars at like $5 a piece, and that's not even including like taxes and crap, to just break even. And I don't have that type of time. Would you be against selling? Yeah, like I was just saying, no, I wouldn't be against selling them. The problem is that it's ridiculously illegal for me to do that. So if I could find somebody else who has a manufacturing license and I could back on their license, then that would be great. And I would totally release this blend to the public. But, hold on, something popped up. Don't switch. I would totally release it to the public, but it's just the legal crap that is kind of the problem. I don't know if Cigar Daily. So, I don't know if Cigar Daily has a manufacturing license. He probably outsources. If he does his own blends, I don't know if he just has something blended in. I don't know if he just has a rebranded bulk, I don't even know what you want to call them, a generic, rebrand of a cigar that is mass produced by, one of the big factories that they just churn them out and they're actually sold under multiple labels, like, local store labels. I mean, I'm guessing there's cigars out there that are going to be rolled by like, and the big factories in Nicaragua and whatnot, and basically it's the house blend, but it's the house blend for like everybody. So everybody just slaps their label. All the little local places can say, hey, look, we have our own cigar line, even though it's the same cigar, in multiple different places. They just slap their own band on it or whatever. So I don't know what he's doing. I'm guessing he does not have a manufacturing license and just outsources it and either picks up one of those generics and they rebrand them or not. I'm guessing that's the case. But I would not be against making my own line. I just don't have the funds to do it or the connections to do it. So yeah, the Innkeeper, I call it that because it tastes like morning breakfast. So like my notes on it are, it tastes a lot like coffee, toast, bacon. It has a little bit of a salty edge to it. So that's why I call it the Innkeeper, because it's really kind of like a morning B&B type of breakfast type of flavors. So yeah, toast, coffee, chocolate, and bacon, and I can't remember what other flavors I put. Oh, kind of like a milk and cream, and it has a nice sweetness to it too. So it's kind of like cream and sugar and coffee with some bacon and toast. That's basically what it tastes like, and that's why I called it the Innkeeper. Speaking of which, I need to roll some more because I haven't rolled any since, 2016, I think was the last time I rolled a bunch of them, and I'm starting to run low on them, so I could probably, but I don't have any more tobacco, so I need to put in another tobacco order as well. I have a few other blends that I've worked on. I think they need to be tweaked some, because really the Innkeeper ended up being my favorite. Too bad you can't legally sell those because they sound amazing. I'd enjoy one while fishing early in the day. Yeah, they are amazing, and unfortunately I can't sell them. But if somebody sees this or knows somebody who could hook me up, then send them my way, and hopefully I could work something out. As far as the tea goes, it would be cool too, but I think the market is pretty saturated at this point. And you'd really have to go to China and deal with all that stuff there. It's not really something you could have somebody else do on your behalf, unlike cigars where I could blend them here and then send the recipes to whoever creates them. But like with tea, you really have to go to China and then source all your leaf, and then deal with finding a. I mean, we'd mostly be talking about like a pour type thing. You'd have to source your leaf, you'd have to blend it, and then you'd have to hire a factory to press it for you and all that fun stuff. So it's probably more involved than I could do. One, I don't like flying, so it'd be really hard to get to China. Yeah. So would I like to do tea stuff? Yeah, I would, but I think it's probably far outside of my ability to do. As far as pipe tobaccos, I haven't really done any blending for pipes. I do have a bunch of tobaccos to do it. I just haven't. Had any time. By the time I get around to it, I'll at least I have some Virginia, a bunch of Orientals, I have some Burleys, I have some Dark Fired Kentucky. I have a lot. By the time I get to it, it's going to be like 3 years aged before I even blend it. I need to get some La Tequila and some Perique. Those I don't have at the moment, and those would probably be backbones of a lot of my blends that I would put together for myself, because that's what I would smoke. Also, I'd like to get a stainless steel tobacco press, I guess you could say. Basically, I just want like a stainless steel piece of square stock, square tube stock that I could press. And the reason I'd like to have it in like stainless steel or something is that I can put it in the oven. If it's wood or something, it's not going to be able to take the pressures. Plus, it's not going to survive in the oven for very long. So I'd like to be able to do something like that, so I could at least put it in the oven at 170 degrees or whatever, and hot press flake, or hot press. Really hot press flakes. That'd be cool. But I have a email in. Well, not an email. I've messaged a local metal fabricator. I told him there's not really a rush on it, and don't go out of your way to acquire the stainless steel tube stock, because it is ridiculously expensive to source it, and I only need like a 4-inch piece. Like a 4-inch long piece of 4x4 tube stock. And a lot of places you can only buy it in like 1 foot lengths, and just like a 1 foot length of like 3/8 or 1/4 inch thickness, because you're talking about a lot of pressure, is still like $167 or something like that for that. Plus he'd have to fabricate the metal pieces, the pressure plates. So I do have a standing like order in with the local fabricator, if he happens to get another job where he has to order those types of materials, and he checks around once in a while to any of the other local shops to see if they happen to have any, just to keep the price down. And I'm not really in a huge hurry anyway, so I'd like to do some of my own pipe blends, but I'm not really in a huge rush, one, because I have a crap ton of commercial ones already. But given the state of laws and whatnot that could be coming our way and totally screwing us, it would be a good skill to have, to be able to blend my own, because hopefully I don't think whole leaf tobacco will get hit by any of the regulation, because it's still considered an agricultural product, as long as it has the rib in it. So it's not taxed as tobacco or anything like that, like manufactured tobacco. So being able to blend your own would definitely be good. I'm guessing if that happens, then the blending community is going to kind of explode, and we're going to find a lot of recipes out there to pass along to everybody, so everybody can still get quality pipe tobacco, even if they have to make it themselves. I mean, something that I think would be nice. I mean, it depends on how it goes down, but I'm guessing some of the places will have to resort. Either one, they'll have to close down, like we lost McClellan, because McClellan wasn't. They saw the writing on the wall, but also they're having trouble sourcing red Virginia, sourcing quality red Virginia, and they weren't gonna make it if it wasn't 100% up to their standards. They weren't gonna lower their standards to accommodate the quality that they could get. So I think that's also another problem with pipes is, unfortunately, pipe tobacco is not that popular anymore. Obviously, pipe smoking is not very popular. So the supply of raw materials is really dwindling, because not a lot of people are growing it specifically for pipes. I mean, kind of the biggest markets right now are for tobacco are going to be in the cigarette market, especially with like the explosion of tobacco use in developing countries, because that's kind of where their biggest sales are now, or in developing countries, obviously, because like the United States, there's less and less people smoking cigarettes. But there's still a massive market in developing countries. One, because unfortunately, because they have very little regulation, and kids are getting hooked on smoking cigarettes when they're young, and obviously, hook them young, you're going to have a customer for the rest of their life at least. But so really the tobacco market is, the cash crop of the tobacco market is going to be towards cigarettes, where creating good pipe tobacco takes more work, takes more time, it takes more expertise, and so we lose all those because people want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of money. And unfortunately, the market for pipe tobacco has just continued to dwindle. So, we're already seeing possible problems with Latakia production. As not being as popular. We already have the problems with red Virginia. So I mean we'll see, but I think we're going to have a tough time with pipe tobacco in the coming years, especially with the regulation. I always hear that cigars will be exempt. People are working hard at getting cigars exempt from all the FDA bullcrap. But I never hear anything about pipe tobacco, and pipe tobacco just does not have the money that the cigar industry does. And unfortunately, I don't think the cigar industry is, I wish they would, but I don't think they are giving enough support to the pipe tobacco. When they're in there, they're just trying to get cigars exempt, and they're not giving a helping hand to the pipe side of it, even though they're basically the same type of, it's at least the premium stuff, it's a handmade product. Kids aren't smoking Cornell and Deal, they aren't buying Cornell and Deal tobacco. Lycan says, Ohio, it's rare to see anyone smoking. Yeah, When I lived there, there weren't a whole lot of smokers. There were some that I worked with. They'd go out back and smoke, but no, there are not many. Like I was staying, when I went out there for like work once, at the hotel I was staying at, they had a little smoking area. So I went out there, smoked a pipe, and I was out there for like 2 hours. Nobody else ever came out. And this was like, 8 o'clock at night. So, people were already back to the hotel from work and all that stuff. But yeah, nobody. It's definitely dwindling. I feel like pipe smokers are harder to find, but are more respected than their cigarette counterparts. Yes, I would say that too. I think cigar and pipe smokers are obviously more respected than cigarette smokers. Because this is a hobby, it's not a habit. That's what you tell people. It's a hobby, not a habit. Like I said, it looks like I smoke a lot more than I do, but mostly you see me pretty much all the time that I happen to smoke. So I'm not in my office all day long smoking. I might smoke once every other day. Neff says he got an email back from the Winnipeg tobacconist. I know he put in an order to try to get some H.H. McBaron stuff, but I don't know how that came out. He hasn't said. So for the people watching, is this a good time to do these type of things, or should I or should I try a different time? Like, should I do Sunday evenings? Should I do an evening on the weekday? Should I do it in the afternoon on the weekend? I don't know. I don't know when the best time to do this thing is. Hasn't been bad. We've had about an average of like 5 or 6 people in here. So at one point we had like 10 people in here. So that's pretty good. What are your thoughts on alcohol, if any? I don't drink, not because I'm against it. I just don't happen to like any of it. I like the idea of it. I wish I liked it, but I don't. So I don't drink it. I mean, it would be cool if I could get into like scotch and stuff, but I just don't like it. So I'll stick with my tea. Neff. Oh, so did you write to that Winnipeg tobacconist? Was that the one selling the bulks that were all McClellan's? And did you hear back from them? Is that who you were? Obviously, if it was all McClellan's, they probably don't have any of it anymore, so... Lycan says Sunday evenings are nice. I'll try a Sunday. Maybe I'll try Sunday evening next week. I only really drink beer on the weekends when I'm playing a game or chilling out. Actually, I do like ciders. Woodchuck is close to us, so I drink a lot of woodchucks, I guess. But I really don't drink that often anyway, so... if I do, it's going to be like a cider or something. Yeah, maybe I'll try a Sunday evening. So James and I are hopefully going to do a stream together at some point. James Patton from... Well, it used to be Honest Cigar Reviews. Now it's just Honest Reviews. So hopefully we'll be doing a stream together at some point. I've also talked to James from TDB. And he's down with doing a doing a stream together as well. So we're just trying to work out the details on time frame. Really, I'd like to any other YouTubers that want to do a stream together. That's cool. I can take, like I said, I can take Skype and Discord, and I can even do phone if it's really bad. But obviously Skype would be good because then we can see you. I don't know what number infusion this is, but this tea goes for quite a long time. Let me look at my... I haven't even drank that much. It's only like... I've only drank like half a liter. So, it's probably quite a waste. I haven't really been paying attention by how much I've been drinking. I mean, it's been 2 hours and I'm only halfway down the bowl of this pipe because I've been just chatting. Neff says Discord has video now. You like a video chat between two people, or like you can get like a ton of people together. Also, does the video have NDI? So it can be pulled into like Streamlabs or OBS. Because that's kind of the biggest thing. Skype at least has a protocol that OBS can tap the video directly without having to do some like weird screen cap thing. Hey John, I am smoking Esoterica Penzance tonight. I put up a poll, had like 5 things on it. I had 3 cigars and 2 pipe tobaccos, and Esoterica Penzance won out. So that's what I'm smoking today. What types of food do you pair with your teas and tobacco? I usually don't pair any food with tobacco. Because I'm not going to smoke while I'm eating. Tea, I don't really go out of my way to pair tea. I just happen to drink a lot of it, so really, I drink tea with whatever I'm eating. So it's not really specifically paired on purpose. I just happen to mostly drink tea is my main beverage throughout the day. So it just gets paired with whatever I'm eating. So bacon and eggs and omelets are always paired with tea. Or sandwiches. Or Chinese food. Pretty much if I'm eating and drinking tea, I'll go with something a little more bitter. So I'll usually go for like a black tea, or if I have to, I'll go for like a green tea with a little bit of with something that has some bitterness to it, because kind of like a fruity white tea doesn't really go that great with food. More so than water. Yes, I drink way more tea than just straight water. I probably drink about 2+ liters of tea a day. Unless it's really hot or I'm working out or something, then I'll drink water. Obviously, I don't drink tea while I'm running or something. But mostly it's tea. Or at night. Well, in the middle of the night, I'll drink water. I don't get up to get iced tea in the middle of the night. I just drink water in the middle of the night. I'm smoking a GBD pipe today. I don't think I said what pipe I was using. This is one of the first pipes I bought. I actually got 3 pipes for $28 at a huge antique mall in just outside of Columbus, on the east side of Columbus. I'm totally spacing the name of the place. But in one display, they had a little pipe rack that had 3 pipes on it. One was this one. One was a Peterson, and one was a Camoys. I got rid of the Camoys and traded it for that huge Ehrlich I showed you earlier. Oh, it's right here. This thing. So I traded it up. So this really cost me nothing other than shipping of another pipe. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, it was just an antique shop. It was a huge one where it would take you forever to find a pipe in. I found this display and it had the GBD, a Peterson, and the Camoys. And I'm like, I'm jumping on that because those are 3 quality pipes. The previous owner must have smoked Lakelands in them because they all smelled like old lady. So I had to do a bit of cleaning on the Peterson. If you see my deep cleaning video, the salt and alcohol treatment, that is the Peterson that I got. And then Camoys, like I said, I traded that away. I mean, that's actually getting pipes for a good price. I'm always a bargain shopper for those types of things. I haven't paid a ton for some of my pipes. A lot of them are eBay finds. Obviously, a few of them are antique shop finds. A couple of them I bought specifically. So the Volcano that I showed you earlier, I bought directly from the guy who made it. I have a couple pipes that I bought directly from the guys who made them, and then some eBay finds, and then the one that I went out of my way to buy was the Tim West, because he's an amazing pipe maker, and I love his pipes. So I just had to buy one when it came up that I could get one. So that one I spent a little money on. I think I got it for about $120 or something. Totally worth it though. It's a great pipe. Anything else going on? The stream turned out better than I thought it would, so that's a plus. I didn't totally crash and burn. People did show up, so that's good. Thoughts on corn cobs? They're all right. I have a bunch of them next to Gru. I have. So funny thing. I'll tell you about that after. So I have a bunch of cobs, but they're really only for aromatics. Just because I don't smoke a lot of them, so I don't dedicate any briars to them. So if you see my rack back here, I did a video on my collection, but basically the top row, let's see here, is all my La Tequila blend pipes. So I got 9 that I put in my La Tequila rotation, and then the bottom row is for Virginia Vapors, basically the rest of the non-aromatics that are not La Tequila based. So I do have a bunch of cobs. I put a little sticker on the bottom of each one saying what basic aromatic flavor there is. So I got like one for cherry, I got one for chocolate, got one for vanilla, one for coffee, one for other berries, one for citrus, one for mints, one for rum. But I don't smoke them very often. I'm not a huge fan of them. I think the biggest problem I have with them is that the draw is too open, which can create a bit of bite and just create some burnt flavors sometimes. Basically, you look at, a draw in a pipe. It's kind of hard to see. I won't be able to zoom in that much. Basically, the draw of most pipes are going to be somewhere around, less than a quarter of an inch, way less than a quarter of an inch, like closer to like an eighth or 3/16. And the cobs are just way too open. So there's not a lot of contact with either the wood or on the inside of the stem. So there's not enough time for the smoke to cool down. There's like no heat sink, I guess you could say. There's nothing drawing the heat off the smoke, so it can be a little too hot. So I think that's kind of my biggest problem with cobs. I know some people love them. I just personally don't like them. I'd much rather a briar than anything else. I know I've gotten a lot of flack for that one on my how to smoke a pipe video, where I say basically, for beginners, get something decent like a Peterson or a Savinelli or something. Spend $80 or so, just so you kind of start off with best foot forward type of thing. I know a lot of people say get cobs, and a lot of people in the comments have said get cobs. Don't listen to this schmo, which is fine. But personally, go with briars. Will kind of give you the best first go. And another reason I say get like a Peterson or a Savinelli around the $80 range, it's easy to resell. Like if you really hate it, and you've only smoked it, 5 times, you can throw it on eBay and probably get 80% of its value back. Maybe a little less. 60-80% is probably fine. You're ever going to get a rad pipe? Not sure what you mean by that. So you have to clarify what you mean by rad pipe. Like a radiator? Are you saying like radiator pipe? Like a Falcon or something like that? I mean, I don't have. If you are talking about a radiator, I'm not against them. Yeah, he is talking about a radiator. So a radiator pipe. I don't know. Probably not. They don't really appeal to me. Yeah, they don't really appeal to me. I don't really like the look of them. So, just right there, they're not very appealing. Like I said, I don't smoke really any aromatics, and a lot of those are really kind of to have somewhere for the goopiness of a lot of aromatics to go. And I don't smoke a lot of them, so it's not high on my list. I mean, if I come across one for super cheap, just for the novelty of it, maybe. But the thing is, I don't think I'd ever end up smoking it, so it's not really worth me to get one. Man, just chit-chatting, and I don't even get through the... Usually this pipe is probably about a 45-minute pipe or so, and I've been smoking this for over 2 hours now. Somebody asked about relights in a video recently, and I'm like, yeah, 20 relights, not a big deal. No ass, taste in music. Mostly in the hard rock genre is my daily listening. Metal, hard rock, Post grunge like Breaking Benjamin, Disturbed. I've been listening to a lot of Devin Townsend lately, so Neff will like that because he's a huge Devin Townsend fan. But mostly metal and hard rock, post grunge type of stuff. People always said when I was younger, my taste would mellow as I got older, and actually as I got older, my taste got harder. So like I didn't listen to like anything with screamo or screaming. So like Killswitch Engage and stuff like that. I didn't listen to that type of music when I was a teenager, but I do now in my 30s. So yeah, I like Killswitch as well. But I think most of my daily listening is going to be more in the hard rock genre of Breaking Benjamin, Alter Bridge, stuff like that. Said mine is mellowed, but I can always rock out to Metallica or Slayer. I haven't even really listened to much Slayer, but yes, Metallica I'll listen to. Actually, they're new. Well, it's not that new anymore. But Hardwired to Self Destruct is probably the best album that they've put out since Black. Since the Black album, I think Hardwired to Self Destruct is a really good album. Neff says I need some Slayer. Yeah, I know. I've been just trying to get through Devin Townsend's discography because it's a mile long. Because the dude wrote like 20 some odd albums in like 20 years. Have you ever heard of the Melvins? No, I have not heard of the Melvins. It's a stoner metal band. No, I have not. I will throw them on a list and I'll check them out on YouTube when I'm done. Oh, Strapping Young Lad. That's what he was saying, not Slayer. Yeah. Strapping Young Lad. Yes, I listened to their first album. I still have their other two albums that I have not listened to. But I consider that a Devin Townsend album. Because it is, basically. Dio? No, I don't listen to Dio. That's old school. I like Killswitch Engage's cover of Holy Diver. That was Dio, right? You work through Infinity yet? I listened to it once, but I cannot remember it. I don't listen to Black Sabbath regularly. And I think I've only really listened to the Black Sabbath of Ozzy. Let's see, Devin Townsend, Infinity. I don't remember what. I don't remember what was on that album. I mean, I've listened to so much of his stuff in such a short amount of time. I can't pinpoint what songs are on what albums. Let me see what songs are on that album, and then I might be able to tell you. Infinity. I've listened to it. I just don't remember any of the songs. I will listen to it again. But he's got so many freaking albums, like, getting through it. I find myself for the Devon albums, I find myself going back to Blue Sky, Accelerated Evolution, and then the 2 Ziltoid albums, or Dark Matter, and then the first Ziltoid. Those are the ones I find myself going back to the most because I like them the most that I've heard so far. I keep trying to listen to a new one, but I'm like, oh, I really want to listen to Blue Sky, or I really want to listen to Ziltoid. I mean, Ziltoid is just genius. I'm a big fan of both of the Ziltoid albums because they're hilarious, plus the music's really good. Neff says Empath is mind-blowing. Yes, Empath is great. But again, I cannot remember the songs on it because I don't listen to it. I haven't listened to it enough times. So stupid. Why can't I see... Oh, I can't see who's actually in the chat without hiding the chat, which is kind of dumb. I don't know what... There's some new music coming out soon that I'm waiting for. I think there's a new 311 comes out in June. I think a new Stitch Up Heart comes out. Oh shit! I think the new Stitched Up Heart came out yesterday, so I gotta check that out. Was it Stitched Up Heart or was it New Year's Day that came out yesterday? I can't remember. Maybe it's New Year's Day that came out yesterday. Transcendence. Yes, I like Transcendence. That's a good album too. I've listened to that a few times. Let's see. Was it... Who came out yesterday? Was it Stitched Up Heart or was it New Year's Day? Don't know. It's not telling me. Horror movies. No, I'm not really into horror movies. Most of the movie, I'm not really into action movies either. Mostly the stuff I watch is like dramas and stuff. Dramas and comedies. I try to watch them. I like a lot of stuff out of Hong Kong as well. Oh, and Korea. There's some really good filmmakers out of South Korea. I think Old Boy, the original one, was South Korean, and then the movies that The Departed was basically a ripoff of, or a remake of, Infernal Affairs. Those are out of Hong Kong. See you, Noah. Thanks for hanging out. So the Infernal Affairs movies, I think it was 3 of them. Those are good. There's a movie called 2009 Lost Memories. I believe that's out of South Korea. It's a really good alternate history sci-fi. Should check it out. And then a really good movie out of South Korea. I'm totally spacing the dude's name, but the film is Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring. Basically, you do not need to read any subtitles because it's only about 3 pages of dialogue in the whole movie. Basically, if I was to teach a film class, I would show that film because it uses the medium to the fullest. But I'm a big fan of how a lot of Asian movies, they can use, well, at least East Asia, they can use some mysticism and it doesn't really take you out of the story. So like the 2009 Lost Memories, there's a little bit of sci-fi into it, but it doesn't really distract from the narrative. Also, there's a movie called The Returner. Same thing. It's just really cool movie. So that's kind of what I like about some Asian movies. Endgame, haven't seen it, and I haven't really seen many of the Marvel movies. Just not a huge into comic book movies. Just like action movies in general, don't really do it for me. I did see Wonder Woman, thought it was horrible. I do like the Iron Man movies, so I have seen the first 2 Iron Man movies. I have not watched any of the X-Men movies. Deadpool, I like Deadpool, both of them. But for the most part, not a huge fan of like the whole comic book genre, just because it tends to, I don't know. They end up being really formulaic, I guess. And Wonder Woman was just a horrible movie, so it just did not help things. So I wasn't a fan. Trying to think what else I'm big fan of. I like Christopher Nolan stuff. Obviously, he did the Batman series, the Batman trilogy, but I like his other stuff, Memento and Inception. I have not seen Dunkirk yet. That's Christopher Nolan too, right? I have not seen that yet. So I'm a big fan of those types of movies. I'm a big fan of Hitchcock movies. I like the Godfather movies, obviously. Everybody likes the Godfather movies. I'm trying to think out who some directors that have a ton of stuff that I like. I ended up in the same week I watched the original director's cut of Once Upon a Time in America and Seven Samurai. Like, I think it might have been back-to-back days, and they're both like 4-hour movies. But I like those types of things too. Oh, Interstellar is another one from Christopher Nolan, right? So big fan of his work. And for like, yeah, Godfather Part 3 was pretty much meh. I agree with you on that. I usually don't bother watching the third one. I'll watch 1 and 2 back to back, and then I'll say screw it to the rest. TV wise, I'm a big fan of like adult cartoons, so Family Guy, South Park, stuff like that. And then for like, I like just like procedural dramas, so like Law and Order and CSI. But I also like I like serials too. Well, not serials. I guess it's not technically a serial. Whatever you call the shows that continue on in one long story arc, like Lost. Was a big fan of Lost. Was a big fan of 24 when it was on. Funny story about that. So I bought the first season of 24 on DVD. It was probably... The second season had probably just started. It might have been like 6 episodes into the second season. And I hadn't watched any of it, so I bought the first season of 24 on DVD and watched the whole thing in one sitting. Which comes out to like 18 hours, because obviously the commercials are gone. But I think kind of some of those shows with like the ability to binge watch stuff, I think it takes some of the experience away, especially shows like 24 and Lost. Like, it's so much more of a more rewarding experience to have to wait a week between episodes instead of watching a whole season in 3 days. Because it lets you digest it longer. So I'm kind of like, I'm glad that I was watching Lost in real time pretty much. Except for like the first two. I think I watched the first 2 seasons on DVD like quickly, and then from then on I was just watching them as they came out on TV. So, and then I rewatched the whole series again at some point, but in a very short amount of time, and it's not as good if you binge watch it versus having to wait a week between episodes, because the anticipation doesn't grow. I think that'll be the case with Game of Thrones when I watch it back, the whole thing. Binge watch the whole series when it's over in one shot. Of course, I had read the first 3 books in college before it was even on the radar of everybody else of making it into a show. So I was thinking about, I really wanted it to get made into something, and let's see, so this would be 2003, so the last Lord of the Rings came out in 2003, I think, in December of 2003, and I was reading the books at that time, and I was thinking to myself, all right, Lord of the Rings was 3 movies, and the entire trilogy was about 1,000 pages, whereas one book of A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the actual series of the Game of Thrones, each book is 1,000 pages. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, it's going to be impossible to make into a movie. Plus, it'd have to be rated R. So it's going to have to be on like HBO or Showtime. And then lo and behold, HBO decides to make it, 8 years later. I can't binge or even do Netflix. Is it just because of what I was saying? Like, you need the space between episodes? Is that why? I kind of like how Netflix, at least the original shows on Netflix, are more bingeable, because I think they expect people to watch them in a short amount of time. Like Narcos, really good show. And I think you can binge it without losing anything. And same with Amazon. Amazon has Man in the High Castle and Bosch. I think Man in the High Castle would definitely need to be spaced out to make it more impactful, but you can still kind of binge it. Lycan says, I need the space and way too many movie show options. Yeah, I'm with you. I have so much backlog to watch. It's insane. I have a ton of movies I need to watch. I have a ton of TV to watch. I think right now we're in like the golden age of TV. And you can even see it with various actors deciding to move to television. For like miniseries or even just moving to TV, because some of the shows are just so strong now, and a lot of them don't, at least for America, there was kind of the expectation to do 20 plus episodes a season. In the UK, like 6 episodes in a season is typical for some shows, but I think that expectation has dropped off. And I think it's better now because a lot of shows are doing 13 episode seasons. Game of Thrones pretty much did 10 episode seasons for the first 6 or whatever. They did 8 last season and they're only doing 6 this season. And I think that kind of started with HBO doing shows like The Sopranos, because I think those were only 13 episode seasons. And 6 Feet Under and whatnot. So right at the beginning of the 97 was the first year of The Sopranos. So I think that kind of engaged us more to watching the shorter, which then they can concentrate on story and not try to have to drag it out over multiple seasons. 20 episodes in a season. They can do a 10 episode arc, which is great. So you can do longer story arcs than a 2-hour movie, but you don't have to fill up 20 hours of TV. So, a 10-hour story arc is a comfortable time frame for a lot of stories. I think sometimes the movies are too short and don't get into the nitty-gritty, and I think that's why TV is doing better now, because they can make stories longer and tell fuller stories. And I think that's probably why I watch a lot more TV than I do movies these days, because they can make fuller stories and you can care about the characters more than just in a 2-hour movie, even though I went to film school and I like movies too. It is what it is, I guess. All right, these leaves are almost, both my pipe and my tea are almost exhausted. I think that might be my cue to wrap it up in a few. Thanks for everybody who decided to join me. Man, what's the time frame here? Man, 2 hours and 40 minutes. I guess I can ramble for a while. I thought I was going to have nothing to say, but I guess I can chat with everybody. So it's been a good one. Neff says, "Just be glad you don't follow anime." Yeah, I'm sure. I have friends that do, and obviously you do. So I know there's a lot of it. I think my biggest problem with anime is the animation style. I don't like them using less frames. Or at least it used to be. Didn't anime do like half the frame rate of normal? And I think it makes it look choppier. And I think that was kind of my turnoff as a kid. Was I couldn't handle the frame rate was just not the full, either 24 frames or for TV 30 frames a second. I think they probably ran closer to like 15, so they double up every frame. So I think that was kind of my biggest problem. I'm guessing if it was for the, well, I don't know. Did they use 25 frames or did they have that? Because Europe is 25 frames. The PAL format was 25 frames, which you can't really tell because films are shot at 24 frames, so that's fine. So, and that never bothered, films never bothered me. So it has to be, so maybe they have the 24 frames and did 12 and a half frames because it was interlaced. So they do 12 and a half frames. Maybe. And that's why it looked kind of weird. I'm assuming that's the case. I don't know where PAL is used. I think PAL was used everywhere other than Japan and North America. And then PAL was used everywhere else. So I'm guessing they have that frame rate and did 12 and a half frames per second for anime. Something like that. I don't know what they use now. Film pisses me off too. I don't notice the 24. I don't notice the frame rate in films. I guess really on the big screen, I do notice it, but not on the small screen. I think once, I think 8K after, I think the next really advancements are going to be higher frame rates, especially for action movies. Like I'd love to see them do action movies at closer to, well, the Hobbit movies were filmed at 48 frames. So I'd like to see action movies filmed at like 72 frames, but it would be difficult, especially because you need a lot more light if you're filming at higher frame rates too, and keeping that. But I mean, 48's fine. I didn't really notice it too much when I was watching the Hobbit movies. But I think action films and stuff filmed at like 72 frames would get rid of that strobing. But obviously we're talking about a crap ton of data. New Kung Fu is being shot at 120. Man, shooting 120 frames at 4K is an insane amount of data. I mean, you're talking like a gigabyte a second at just like 4K. If you're shooting at like if you're shooting at 444, it's probably a gig a second. You have to have some crazy amounts of space. I mean, I went to film school right as the transition was starting from film to digital. So I did shoot on film. So we were probably one of the last classes to shoot on film. I'm guessing they didn't shoot on film much longer after. And they probably moved to all digital at that point. But I'm glad I had the experience because I got to shoot on 8mm and I got to shoot on Super 16, and I actually got to cut Super 16 physically, edit Super 16 by hand. So that was actually really fun. So yeah, I edited Super 16 and the audio with it by hand. So that was actually a really fun experience. Probably not too many people after that class, because I graduated at the end of 2004, in August of 2004, and I think probably they only had a couple more classes after that for who actually shot on film. Makes me wonder what's after Blu-ray. Yeah, I know. I was actually asking that question amongst my friends. I'm in a different Discord with a bunch of my friends, and we just chit chat all day. And I posed that question, considering UHD, so 4K on Blu-ray is already compressed to hell, because you can only fit 100 gigs on a 4-layer Blu-ray, and that's already compressed. So I'm thinking, until we all have gigabit connections, even then, that's still going to be too slow for like an uncompressed like 8K. Definitely not going to happen. And Neff just said it, what I was thinking. So it's going to have to be solid state. But I mean, right now, a solid state, full size, solid state, normal size hard drive is still expensive, especially for the amount of data. I mean, we're talking about movies that are going to be multiple terabytes to be uncompressed, especially like when you're pushing 8K. If you're talking like 8K even with compression, I mean, you're still probably talking about a gigabyte per second. So you get 1,000 seconds per terabyte, which works out to what, like 11 minutes or something? No, it's more than that. It's like 16 minutes, 16, 17 minutes. Yeah, it's a lot of data. I don't know how far we're going to bother going with home use of those higher resolutions. I don't think 8K is going to be like a home consumer level, I guess. At least anytime soon. I mean, 4K totally hasn't even taken over yet. So I don't think 8K is going to be way off. I'm guessing we're going to go to 6K first. But films are being shot in 8K now. Well, the new red cameras, I think, are shooting at 8.5. I mean, at that point, how much farther do you need to go? I mean, just like looking at Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was shot on film, but they finished it digitally. And they only finished it in 2K. And it looked fine on the big screen. So, I mean, I don't know how much farther you have to go to make it look right. I think a 30... I read it a little while ago. I believe a 35 millimeter piece of film has roughly the same pixel density as an 8K frame. So really, once you hit 8K, you're at the level of film originally. So how much farther do you need to go? Especially because it blown up on big screen already looks great. I guess you could go to the same pixel you could get to the same pixels as IMAX, which is 70 millimeter. So that's going to push us out to 16K basically, because it's basically double the frame size, which that's a massive frame. But yeah. Lycan says I need 12K at 150 frames per second. Yeah, that's like a terabyte a second. That's going to be like a lot. That's going to be crazy data. And you're going to have films in petabytes. That'd be funny. But I mean, I'm not even at 4K yet. I don't even have a 4K TV. I'd like to get one. That'll be my next I don't think they make a whole lot of 1080s anymore. I think everything's 4K almost. I mean, you can get like a 55 4K for like $350 now. Something like that. All right, well, I've exhausted my tea and tobacco. So I am going to bid you adieu. So thanks for everybody who decided to watch. And if you are watching the replay and stuck it out all the way to the end, I thank you very much. And I'll try to do some more live streams. It's been fun. So I think I'll do this more often and try to find a good time to do it. I think we averaged about five people at normal in here for most of the time. I'd like to get a few more. So maybe I'll find another time. I'll try a Sunday night maybe next weekend. And like I said, I'm hopefully going to do some with James from Honest Reviews and, well, I guess it's both James, and James from TDB. So hopefully those will be coming soon. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time on Tea and Tobacco. See you guys.